All right. How's it going, everybody? Brandon McCaskill here. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday, everybody. It's great to be back in the saddle with Momentum Monday. It's been a pretty hectic week over here. Lots getting done, that's for sure. But in a political sense, there's a lot that I've been covering as well here at home, municipally, and trying to pay attention with what's going on here with the Emergencies Act Commission, which is what I want to talk about today. First, I'll recognize Miss Lynn B. Truck Fudo. Great username. Great to have you here, Lynn. Good to see you as always. But yeah, I just wanted to create a space for you guys if you've been watching this commission. I believe we're on day 18 now. November 7th is today. Yes, November 7th. And so there's been a lot of testimony, a lot of tax dollars being spent with this thing. So I just wanted to kind of create a space for you guys to come and kind of just give me your notes. What have you noticed? What are some things that maybe I know the media is not really covering this, but like, what are some special things that you've taken notice of? Maybe something somebody has said, particular testimonies. And I'll admit, I've missed a lot of it. I mean, I work full time. I do a lot of things, so I've been catching bits and pieces of, just the different people that were testifying, and just trying to pay attention the best I can. So I think the first testimony that I kind of started watching, I jumped right in the middle of Steve Bell, his testimony there, and I guess what I gathered from Mr. Steve Bell. By the way, Steve Bell was the acting police chief when Peter slowly stepped down. He's the bald guy. And what I guess overall, what I kind of gathered from him is that he was really pressing the fact that this isn't a cut and dry, simple issue, that there was a lot of factors involved, a lot of different, miscommunications, and, there was a lot of things to consider. So I guess his was kind of the introduction of it being not this simple cut and dry answer, because in my mind still, and I haven't been convinced otherwise, I still think evoking the Emergencies Act was inappropriate because its purpose is for when foreign invaders are coming onto our land, not to be used against peaceful, law-abiding citizens. So for me, it's very obvious. But Steve Bell's testimony for me was that was the beginning of introducing this idea of it's more complicated than that, guys. All right, so I actually have Thomas Fisher. He's in the waiting room here. I'm going to bring him on in a few minutes here, but I'll just once again go through the comments here. Lynn B says, Tamara made me cry. Yeah, that was one of the testimonies that I caught, and I don't know. I just like the woman. She's and that's how it was for me, because she would do these live streams during the trucker convoy, and I would watch her, and just the things she would say. Yeah, Lynn, it would bring me to tears, because she does well at just conveying her pure intentions from the start, I think. And I think that innocence is kind of what kind of brings a tear to my eye. So yeah, brings a tear to my eye as well. Human 222 says, I think this means pray, or ¿Cómo estás? I don't know. Right back at you. Bell's bald head needs to be used as the clapper in a bell. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's Thomas. He's saying, hey, everybody. So I'm going to bring Thomas in here. I know he's been paying attention to what's been going on, and I'm also interested in what him and his wife, Janet, have been up to at the Fisher Files. So let's bring in Thomas. Thomas, how you doing, sir?
Hey guys, how you doing? You hear me okay?
Good. I can hear you very loud and clear.
You notice I got some new lights in my studio. We got a little bit of a brightness thing happening here. So yeah. We took advantage of the YouTube scolding, and we sat back and kind of have been reevaluating what we're doing. Sometimes, I've got to learn. I guess I've done a lot of research on YouTube. Well, I shouldn't do that. Janet has, and we've partnered up with we've been very blessed. We've ran into a a new part of our team, and he's just a project manager style guy. And Janet and him now gang up on me, and I'm now being placed in this vein of using my talents more effectively. I'll say it that way. I'm very happy with the changes.
Yeah.
We're going to be changing the name. We're rebranding the Fisher Files. We're going to be, it's coming out this week. I did 2 shows last week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the topics. We're releasing one. We also did an interview with Kristen Nagel. That'll be coming out this week.
Nice.
Kristen Nagel, in case you don't know who she is, she's the nurse that started Frontline Nurses and was fined a bunch of money and lost her job.
Yeah.
And so she's going to be coming up. And but last week I did. I'm now doing a weekly segment on Ukraine, on the NATO-Russia war. I'm not calling it the Ukraine war anymore.
Yeah.
It's now the NATO-Russia war.
Yeah.
And we talked about Elon Musk last week. This week we got financial crisis, multiple layers of that.
Yeah.
More stuff on the NATO-Russia war. And the third one I'm going to keep a secret because it's probably going to be a little bit spicy. Yeah. So the name of our channel, you're still going to be part of it. If you remember, if you're already subscribing to us, you'll just change the name. It's Cognitive Disturbance.
Cognitive Disturbance.
And we're kind of confused on the taglines. Either going to be safe and effective.
Yeah.
On the words.
Yeah.
Or it might be making sense of it all, but we're not sure yet. We're still working on the tagline. So that new branding comes along. Janet's been working hard on that with our other partner Mario.
Yeah.
We're just going to change things up because we realize, like this has been a learning curve for you as well, right? Like it's their sandbox. We got to play in it, and
unfortunately,
we can't. The Rumble, we've got the Rumble channel too, but again, that takes a lot more time because it's very organic.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that I'm a 30,000 foot view guy bringing it down to 5,000 feet in a very fast way.
Yeah.
And I get the fire hose out, and sometimes I might just might be too much coming out of the hose. So they're dialing me back. They're keeping me in check, Fredo. They're keeping me in check, man.
So do they keep you in check when you're on Rumble, or does Rumble just kind of give you the license to do whatever you want?
We're now branding Rumble. Rumble's going to be the place that when we get into topics that we know are going to gain the radar of the AI bots of YouTube.
Yeah.
We're gonna say, we're gonna start moving people to the other piece on Rumble. We're also launching our website, which will be Cognitive Disturbance, and we've refined it to a point where we overcomplicated things a lot. We're gonna have a landing page. We're gonna have material on there. We've bought a plug-in player. We've been really, really dialing into what we want the channel to be, and I really like this because this is what I want. I want to be a guest on a few shows.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that I'm bringing relevant information. I kind of hoping that Brooke comes on here sometimes. We can spar about the political state of the country.
Yeah.
Because I've got a much different angle, much different viewpoint on the political situation of the globalists and our country as being a part of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard, but I'm sure you guys have all heard about Krista Freeland's snide comment. Oh, just cancel your Disney Plus memberships and all is good. You can retire. The lack of just awareness,
self-awareness.
And then you've got Trudeau, coming out and blasting Doug Ford.
I know.
Like, okay, but wait a minute. Like, you just did that, bro. Like, you did that in a magnitude of where you really beat up citizen. By the way, we're going to talk about this inquiry, and I'll tell you, I didn't watch I didn't want to watch the Criminals. Okay, I was dead set against watching the Criminals, and I'll call them that. They're Stoley, Bell. These guys are criminals.
Yeah,
and Paul Champ is a chump, right? And I couldn't watch that first week because I didn't want to be. What I'm trying to stay away from is getting negative and getting angry, right? I'm trying my best to stay focused on what we can do about it.
Right.
This is what we do about it right here. What you're doing.
Yeah.
What we're doing. Right. I'm going to give a plug in for my buddy, our buddy Saxon Murray, North of Nothing. Check him out on YouTube. It'll be a lot different flavor. He curses and he lets it all hang out. He'll learn.
I'll get there.
But thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So I just finished saying that I didn't have an opportunity to watch every testimony, and you mentioned you didn't watch the bad guys. So what testimonies did you watch?
Well, I basically last week I tuned in. I watched a bit of Tamara Leach, watched a bit of Chris Barber, but I really wanted to where I became interested was when Pat King took the stage. That to me was we were gonna change the narrative, all right? Because let's face it, guys, Anti-Hate Network, go look them up. These guys are and what you're hearing a lot in this inquiry. Sorry that I didn't finish my thought. Anti-Hate Network has been one of the catalysts to this framing. They're the ones that planted. I'll call it out. If Mr. Farber and Mr. Smith, if you want to come and challenge me on this, I got facts by my side. We know it was you that planted the flags. We know it was you that got the CBC photographer for the day to go and photograph the General Lee flag. You know, we know it was you. So pay attention to this organization because they've been really, and what they're doing, when you're going to hear a lot about in this EMA is open source intel.
Yeah.
Open source intel is equal to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Okay. Right. They're watching all of us. YouTube, Brando. Sorry, you're not. Even though you're one of the nicer guys on the planet, you stay in the lanes. They're watching YouTube. And what they exposed in that EMA is they showed a couple files, especially in Jerry and Mackenzie's bro. We'll talk about each testimony in a second, but what I want to point out is they have a file, and they're scrolling through it, and it's this date. Here's a video. Here's the video clip. This date. Here's what he said on Telegram, and they try to redact it. But if you're the guy from War Campaign is doing an amazing job of showing the world what these guys are doing. Like he's doing it from a different angle. Like he's coming in it from like, this is what they're doing. This is how they're doing it.
Right.
And he's catching all the little things, the nuances that most of us we're going to watch. We're not really going to catch because that's his background. Right. Yeah. So, and that's what I mean about this. It's a network. It's a community of all of us on YouTube, on Facebook, on all of the True Social. Speaking of, we'll probably talk a little bit at the end, but this is where we have to start really integrating because every one of us are reporters.
Yeah.
All of us. So, but the EMA has been very, very interesting. But Pat King, in my opinion, in my estimation, Pat King was the start of the shift of the narrative. Right. So what did you want to talk about first?
Well, that's a good segue.
Marazzo, I watched Marazzo's testimony too. Yeah, Marazzo's awesome. He's a G. He was awesome.
Yeah. Well, because there's this flavor that they're trying to put in front of the viewers about these being extremists, right? Obviously, and they've been doing that since the very beginning. But even with who was it? I have a little brain fart here. I think it was BJ Dichter. And Dichter's a plant, man. That guy's an absolute plant. Yeah. And like he was kind of like feeding this narrative of like just himself trying to detach himself from them. I
told them all to leave.
Yeah.
Like, he said that. Like, they
like
didn't want to leave.
Building up this narrative of them being extremists even more. And this is what I was trying to remember. Dan Barber, when they were kind of going after things he said in the past. And like it was like anti-Muslim stuff that he said in the past.
Chris Barber with the General Lee flag in his garage.
And it became more about his mistakes in the past. And it kind of got off topic very, very quickly with him, I felt. So it was like
we can argue all we want about whether the General Lee flag is racist or not. I mean, we can go down that with the wormhole. And this is what the left and the woke do, right? They'll gravitate to some narrative. And all of a sudden you can't mention that or show anything of that anymore because it becomes synonymous with racial culture, racist culture.
Yeah.
So hey, there's Miss Deering. I just watched Saxon.
Hey.
I just watched Saxon interviewing Chris. Man, that's Chris is. You know what, Chris, you did an awesome job, man. You're so proud. You should be so proud.
Yeah, so proud.
I love what you said. I just would get out in the front lawn and join them. Like, absolutely, man. Like and this is what I mean. The narrative shifted when these guys got on the stand. And let's face it, man, Denny Bulford blew holes through all of their garbage.
I wasn't able to catch that one. I still have to watch it.
You got to watch it. He blows holes through their garbage and their framing of the narrative. Yeah. And Chris just all that happened was what Chris said. Denny Bulford just came in right behind and just validated. Like it was incredible, right?
Right.
And Chris, you could tell he was I mean, you could see inside him he was really, really agitated sometimes, and he really wanted to like just let it out. And he kept it cool, right? And especially when he got some of the insults, like, well, how would you feel was on your front line? And then the worst thing though, they played the BIA, the Ottawa Citizens Coalition, Paul Chump and his lady friend.
Yeah.
They played a video of like all of the decibel readings of the honks and and all of the, and it was, I'm like in my mind going like, okay, wait a minute. They wouldn't show Chris Deering getting the crap thumped out of him.
Yeah.
They wouldn't show it, but the guy in War Campaign did. He showed it.
Yeah.
And if you watch it, and he's got good footage. Like it's like you see right from the start of what happened, how it happened. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't show it, but yet they show that video during his testimony. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Very disgusting.
Yeah.
I just want to address one comment. I don't know if it's relevant. Mamlaka Canada, you need to look at China Belt and Road Program and how many countries across the globe have bought into it, including Europe. And then he follows up with the above China question really asks why our Commonwealth countries have acted in the manner they have during the COVID crisis. Okay.
These are good questions. And matter of fact, Bill, on the cognitive disturbance channel this week, I talked about NATO and Russia going to war and some breaking some of the narratives. And I also talked about the Chinese and Russian partnership.
Yes.
They're working together because Russia got kicked out of the SWIFT banking system and the Chinese let them in. And which has only improved Russia's economic stature, and which has started the implosion, which you're starting to see. You're going to see some stuff this week. I'm not talking about it, but because it's going to be a part of the show. But you're going to see it this week where the U.S. dollar is going to really start show signs of collapse.
Yeah, because
the bond market, because they raised the interest rates again this week. It's pretty much the death knell for the bonds, the treasury bonds of the U.S. So. You're right. And there's a lot more about the Chinese. They have police stations in Canada. They've got military forces and bases in Canada and other countries. Yeah, it's scary. It's a scary situation we're in right now.
Yeah. So back to, I guess, what we can kind of talk about next, because from the very beginning, I started watching with Steve Bell. That was the first testimony that I picked up on. And there's these two narratives that are combating. And this one that, side narrative is that they're extremist, I think. And the main narrative, I think, is that they're trying to say the truckers are admitting now that the organizers admitting that they didn't have control over these protesters. Yeah. Therefore, it was appropriate. So that's their big argument that they're trying to hammer through here. And I think that's what Steve
when they talked about the airport, right? They talked about the airport trip with Marazzo.
Yes.
And they tried to get Marazzo to admit that they were afraid of Pat King. And it wasn't. Marazzo was like, no, it wasn't about that. It was about, we just wanted to make sure that he had support, blah, blah, blah. And then when Pat King got up in there and asked, Pat King's just like, no, I just went there to do it so to let the government know we weren't leaving. Like it again, and even with Mackenzie, right? Like this whole Diagolon thing, right?
Yeah.
Then they tried to tie Fairman's toll, which is Alex's friend, to this whole, and they're trying to piece all these. They're trying to piece all these parts together that that the collective as a whole was a threat. And now they're talking about the Windsor blockade. Those two things were individually run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We know we're actually Janet's gotten to know Sammy very well.
Right.
You know, and you know, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to tie it all together, and they're framing the narrative that they need to clamp down on anyone that's providing misinformation, right?
Mm.
But the misinformation readers are the people that have been covering the convoy from the get-go that aren't part of the open source intel. I follow Rachel Gilmore on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Rachel Gilmore is an absolute piece of work. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm surprised I haven't been blocked by her yet. I've been pretty interfaced with some of the things she's been saying.
Yeah.
But it's like global news is carrying the water for the federal government.
Yeah.
But what I am excited to see is I think Brendan Miller, the convoy organizer's lawyer,
right?
I think he's gonna like absolutely agitate some of these government officials.
I think so.
I think when he gets Mendocino on the stand,
and
he gets Trudeau on the stand, I think he's gonna do some damage. I really do.
Yeah. So overall, the commissioner himself, how do you think he's been? Fair, not fair? What's your overall feeling?
I don't think it was fair of him to block Chris Deering's meeting. I don't. Because they've allowed the OPS, the Ottawa Police Service, to show videos, to produce documents that shed taken out of context, shed negative light on the movement.
Yeah.
I thought James Bowder's testimony was good too. I keep forgetting about him. Like his testimony was pretty strong.
Yeah.
They had a hard time reining him in. He's got ADD, man. He's all over.
I know.
But he was pretty fun to watch. But you know, when I find that the commissioner's been fair in a way, but not in others, right? You know, they erupted a couple times, right? And I gotta caution, like, anyone that attends in person to this hearing, you gotta stop. You gotta stop, because all that's happening is the media is saying, "Oh, look at them, they're unruly." He's having to warn them. Like, they want us to be seen as uncontrollable,
right?
Dangerous,
yeah, domestic
terrorists. They remember the whole goal is to get that label of domestic terrorist slapped on us, and then they're off to the races. So yeah, he's been fair. I don't like him. I think his report isn't going to do a darn thing. I think his report, when it comes out in February, is going to be, well, there's a number of evidence. I think it's going to be more of those. Well, you know, it's hard to say because, you know, you look at the flags and the decibel readings and the fact that they didn't have themselves organized. It was justified. I think that, and what's going to happen? They want their civil war. And I think that they're hoping that those peace-loving, hockey stick, Canada flag waving, dancing, "O Canada" singing protesters become the F Trudeau people.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, I think what's, I guess, a positive to take out of this, regardless if it lands or not, is the fact that, I mean, besides James Topp's little meeting in Ottawa, where they actually presented their grievances, I think at that time they were basically preaching to the choir with who was tuning in and listening. Whereas this is, I think, a little bit more of a public event, because you have the people on the other side that are, hoping against the truckers. They're watching this and they're being exposed to, I mean, I have to admit, hearing the other side of the argument, it's, for me at least, there's points of view that I didn't even take into account before. Yeah. So in that sense, I think it's a good thing that people on the other side are finally getting what the truckers wanted all along, was, just to have their.
And that's what Chris Deering said on Saxon's show today. Was he said that, the good thing is we actually are getting our voices heard, and we're getting it, and because when you saw Danny Bulford get arrested,
when
you look at the headlines around it, if you don't know and you're just following the CBC, CTV, and Global News angle, Danny Bulford is a unruly. He was a disgruntled employee of the RCMP, and he had his bank accounts frozen. What I'll tell you, what was scary though, and what all of us should be paying attention to, anyone that supports UBI in theory or digital currency, centralized digital banking currencies, any of that kind of stuff, or surveillance, getting microchipped. Danny Bulford literally said on February 16th, he heard that they were looking for him, that there was going to be an arrest coming. On the 17th of February, he went to use his credit card, not his bank account, his credit card. And it was not working. Then he went on his bank account and everything was blacked out. They literally erased his information from his ability to see. Now, I just want that to sink in. Think about where we're going here, right? Think about what you just heard Trudeau. I'm going to talk. Darn it. I can't talk about it. I promised I would not tip it up. I won't. There's an event happening this week that Trudeau is at, and it's kind of his event because it's, he's the champion of it. And I'll leave it there. I'll be talking a little bit about that. But this is what they said that in there's a V like saying they did. And that should scare us all, because it wasn't like they gave you a warning, say, hey, we're going to be closing your bank accounts down. You better go get some money. We're going to allow you to pull $1,000. They just went, turn the switch off, and it's gone. Right? If they can do that right now without just by an emergency measures. So think about what they're coming up with next. What's next? What's on the horizon? Are you paying attention? You realize that the Ontario credit, I think it's the Ontario credit unions that just launched a credit card that will track your climate footprint. Alibaba in the world, we talked about this on the show, World Economic Forum meeting, annual general meeting in May. Alibaba has this app now that can track your climate footprint. What could they do? What could go wrong? I don't know. We see that. What I love about this inquiry is you're seeing what they plan on doing in real time. They're showing you, right? Because they're so arrogant. They don't think that we're smart enough to kind of figure out what they're doing. They don't plan on people like Brandon McCaskill and the Canada and the Fisher Files, now the cognitive disturbance and the North of Nothings and the war campaigns and the Maverick media, like all of us going out saying, hold on a minute, don't look over here. And that's the other thing about the strike. Okay. Do I think it's wrong that teachers are making? I don't care if you're a teacher or not. You're making more than double what your ECEs are making. When you look at the workload of an ECE, tell me it's fair. You have solidarity amongst union members as long as it doesn't affect you. Right? And the teachers are still getting paid, guys. They're not losing a dime because it's not their fight. Right? So this is why are they doing this? Why is this such a big story? They want to distract us away, because what's coming up in this next few weeks in this inquiry, be all kinds of bombshell stuff being dropped, and they want us to be distracted from it. And the media could say they cover what's hot. So if they don't cover that, they're covering the next thing, right? So this is telling me that we need to really pay attention to the EMA, because they're deliberately trying to distract us from what's happening there. That's my take on it.
Yeah. Me and Brooke were just out this morning interviewing people at is it Coopy? Is that how you say it? Coopy protest. And what we were trying to get across is that we're people that support people's right to protest peacefully. Now, and there is tons of people there. Now compare that.
Isn't it kind of funny though that they're fighting over? Okay, I'm going to say something that might upset some people, but I don't care.
I count on that, Thomas,
because it needs to be said. Okay, so I'm going to talk. I only talk my personal experience. Okay. March 16th, 2020, I had my son for March break. My son, the week before, 10 days before that, had an amazing weekend of hockey.
Yeah.
We came from being a very mediocre team to being the best team. We won the right to go to the provincial championships.
Yeah.
Okay. He had an amazing year in swimming. First year swimmer. He makes regionals for his best discipline.
Cool.
March 16th, he's at my house. He's at my house for 3 weeks. No hockey, no swimming.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast forward to 2021. They come out with the Jabroni passport deal.
Yeah.
He stands and says he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't get to swim. He doesn't get to play hockey.
Yeah.
My question is, if you're so concerned about your human rights and the charter, it's funny, charter rights all of a sudden matter. You were the people that didn't fight for any of these kids. You didn't tell the school to be open. You didn't go to the YMCA or the swimming team or the baseball leagues, or you did nothing because it didn't affect you. Right? And the kids finally get a chance to go to school, have some normality back in their life. And you can't even give them one freaking semester. So guess what? I don't have any empathy for you. You know why? Because last summer I had to go in the back door of hotel rooms because I didn't want to take their treatment. Hey, by the way, have you heard about the 80 doctors dying? Like, I'm sorry. You don't get to use the charter as your flagship.
Yeah.
When you didn't do a darn thing. Not to mention, I remember all you teachers going on. I saw forums where you were calling us freedumbers, DUMB. Oh, so what about your freedom? How about we call you freedumbers now? Because it's the same thing, man. This is division. They've done a hell of a job of it. You want us to get on your side? Then stand up with us and fight back, because it's not just your wages that are at risk or whatever. It's about what they're doing. The notwithstanding clause is wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be allowed to do that. It's 100% against. But let's go back to February. Where do you think your goods come from? Where do you think you're getting all your Christmas presents from? Where do you think you're getting your food from? Truckers.
Yeah.
They wanted to stop truckers, by the way, who throughout the heart of the pandemic, when people were supposed to be dying in thousands, they were driving back and forth untreated.
Yeah.
Nobody said a word. Then all of a sudden you can start seeing there's evidence that maybe this thing's not necessary. They put out mandates saying that if you don't take that, you're not allowed to cross. They were fighting for all of us, and you guys all made fun of them. Yeah, you guys, all of you. I've seen all the union rhetoric. I've seen all of it. So I'm sorry, you're not going to get I feel bad for you today. What I am going to say is you're right. They're stepping on your rights, and it's wrong. It's wrong right now, and it was wrong back then. And watching this thing with the EMA, I had memory lane. We were there.
Yeah.
In Ottawa, as were a lot of us. When I had to watch, I would have been, Jen will tell you, if we didn't have our son that weekend, we would have been there. And I'd have been right beside Chris Deering.
Yeah.
And I would have stood there and I would have taken my beating. Because you know why? Because it was right. It was the right thing to do. They had no business doing what they did. They were the trucker, and you hear the testimony? The convoy organizers said they had an agreement that they were going to move the trucks to Wellington. They were doing what they were told to do, and then the night before, they were told the deal is off.
Yeah.
So they got all this confusion happening, and you got a bit of angst amongst the truckers because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
Who did that? The truckers? Did the truckers do that? No. Watson, McKinney, with the Citizens Coalition, all these people were behind it.
Yeah. So
you know what? Enjoy it. Enjoy feeling the way we felt for the last little while.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, you made an important distinction there, Thomas, and that's why I think Brooke and I wanted to go down today, because we don't have to agree with them, but we need to, if this is their opportunity to really wake up and say, this is what we meant by standing up for our rights. Like, we need to say, this is exactly what we were doing. And where, we don't have to say, where were you? I think that would start an argument with someone, but just hammering home the fact that this is what can unite us, our rights. That's what we've been saying all along.
Okay, this is a good point by Jeff here. You're right. So where were all you solidarity people when the Bill 124 was passed and they froze the wages and they can't even get a 1% raise? Where were you all then? Because guess what? The QP union represents them too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Because you know why? Because they weren't going along with the poison.
Yeah.
Right. I'm being careful, man. I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I promise. I won't say anything. I won't say anything. But they wouldn't go along with it.
Yeah.
But you guys did. You guys, matter of fact, I know a lot of people that are sitting on that line right now that actually were calling these nurses and people out against this. They were calling them a lot of names.
Yeah.
You weren't supporting them.
Yeah.
But now it's affecting you. See? Interesting. But I'm still going back to the fact that the children didn't get one semester of normalcy is a disgrace. You could have did that. You know what? It would have been fine. You could have went and said at the end of the semester, like at the end of November, early December, you could have said, "Listen, if we don't get something done here, we're not coming back in the new year."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Football. Here's a good example. My son went and watched this. He's a high schooler now, and A.M. Meyer here in Niagara Falls is an amazing football program. They're just amazing, undefeated. They're going to be playing Notre Dame in the Niagara region final. That's probably not going to happen because the kids can't go to school to practice.
Yeah.
It's man, you guys need to check yourselves. You guys aren't aware that we've been sitting here the last almost 3 years of living in like division, inability, like sort of segregation, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just don't support it. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, people got to feel a little pain before they're motivated. And I mean, well, people like us, because we were desperate for people to come out and support us with what we're doing. And then, so when we heard things like Bill 124 and they're like, stand with us, we were willing to stand with them, like, because we understood the pain. But unfortunately,
Chris Deering, they tell the police he's got a bad back, he's an injured veteran. Like, you can hear Jeff Evely clear as day.
Yeah.
Wounded veteran. He's a wounded veteran. He's got a bad back. And they just slammed him. And it was like, and then you watch the other girl that was on there, Hope Braun. They had a gun pointed to her head, man.
Yeah.
For what? For what?
And they had the audacity to block the street from traffic. Did you hear that?
The police are blocking the street too, man. Sorry.
You're obstructing traffic. Oh my God.
I love that. I love that when Chris said that, he goes, well, no, Braun Hope said that. Hope Braun said that. She said, well, they were blocking the street too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, I love Chris. Chris did an amazing job. He just, and I actually loved, like, I really loved for me.
Yeah.
Mackenzie's testimony was, I wish it wasn't as inspiring as I thought it was going to be, but here he is sitting and by the way,
in jail.
I don't care what you think of the guy. I don't care what, I don't support anything he said on that podcast. I don't support a lot of things that he's done or said, but I'll tell you this, he doesn't deserve to be in jail. He hasn't been found guilty of a crime.
Right.
Right. They could hold him while they process him, but they need to give him bail and he needs to be out. And the fact that he's doing that and the fact that he's not free yet is just, it's disturbing.
Should be.
And it's cognitively disturbing. But I don't know if you noticed what Jeremy Mackenzie was wearing.
No.
He's wearing a white shirt and a white tie. There's significant. I don't know what it means exactly. I'm not a military guy. I would love for some military guys to tell me, but I think that there's a message in what he wore. Because most of the time he'd wear blue suit, white shirt, blue tie or black tie, blue and black or navy blue. He wore white on white.
Yeah.
I think it means distress. I think he's telling the world that he's in distress in jail. I think it was a subliminal message. But I digress.
Wow, so, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, but you're just at the hearing, and I'll leave you be for this, Brandon. I just want to check in.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas.
The hearing for me is they can't deny the brutality.
Right.
Okay. They can hide it. They cannot show it in the inquiry. Right. But it will make its way into evidence. It's in there. Right. And Chris Deering did not deserve. I watched it. You know, he said that he stood there. His body was giving out. So he just gave in. He didn't threaten them. He just leaned into them and basically said, "Go ahead, take me, because I'm not going to stand and get beat, get pushed around anymore." And then when you hear about it, think about. I want everyone to think about what you think, how you feel. You're standing in the cold for 2 hours. They won't let you take any pain meds that you've got a prescription for.
Yeah.
They won't give you water. They won't you stand in the cold. They run you through this line. Then they tell you your charges are good for a good day here. Your charges are dropped. Cool. And what do? They take you 10 kilometers outside the city, drop you off at a public works building, which isn't a notable building. You wouldn't know where you are.
Yeah.
And they say, find your own way back. This is a veteran, guys. This is a person that went to war for our country, put on a Canadian uniform, decorated veteran. So you saw his lapel.
Yeah.
Truck blew up 100 feet with an IED. 4 people died. And that's the way he gets treated. That's the treatment of a veteran. Yeah. I don't know what more can be said. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah. Well, all I'm hoping for is just more and more truth to get out. That's all I can really. I'm not putting any hope in, I don't know, this commission. I'm not going to get my hopes up that this is going to be something fruitful, but the hope that I see is that the truth is getting out. More people are hearing it. So
it's what we do. It's, I guess what it is I'm basically our channel. We're leaving it up to you and the Mavericks and the war campaigns, because you guys are doing a really good job of covering it. But what I want to do is I want to chime in and bring flavor.
Yeah.
Because I want to support it.
Yeah.
But what we do with this information is more important than anything.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a lot, one of the things I'm noticing, I go to a men's group on Thursday mornings at 7:30 with the church, but for my church, it's all a bunch of Christian men, and we all talk about, and it's amazing the diversity in terms of our views on the world. I'm probably one of the ones that's the most, because I'm talking about WF and UN and all this stuff, and they're kind of like, but what I noticed is a lot of them have taken 2 jabs and they're stuck. They're like, man, I don't, that you can just tell they're fearful of the next round, right? Because they don't want them. Right. And this is where we, as a community, all of our communities, where we need to start really embracing. I've learned a lot, by the way, in this last 2 months. I've learned a lot about, I'll be harsh when I need to be harsh, but I've also got to be somewhat, well, first things first, though, there will be no amnesty. There will be none of that. Sorry. You're not going to get, and the Atlantic is a farce to begin with, but that whole narrative is a joke. Like, no, sorry. I know what I want. I want the little gnome. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The guy with the nice slick Brooklyn accent, the gangster.
Yeah.
I want that guy to see his day where he belongs. Can
you imagine, like, just being the one guilty and just be like, guys, I think we need to forgive one another. Like, who in their right mind?
What does that tell you? It tells you that they know they did wrong and they know what's coming.
Let's just forgive one another.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Kumbaya, man. Let's just all sit by the fire. Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
But listen, so yeah, I'm gonna go get going.
No problem.
Check us out. It's coming. It'll be coming this week. We're gonna launch our videos. I've done 2 already. Doing 3 more today, maybe 4 more. China-Russia narrative. On the NATO war.
Nice. Big topic.
And so cognitive disturbance is the new brand. That's all coming. Going to keep the rage song though. The rage song sticks. So, but
you have to.
Yeah. So listen, guys, thanks so much. Great to have you, man. Good to see you back, brother.
You
sorry
too.
that Brooke didn't win. We were rooting for him.
That's all good.
This means you got other work to do. So
yeah, right on, man.
All right, man. Cheers.
All right, we'll catch you later.
Cheers. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. Yeah, so I'm going to do a couple more things here. I want to play a video because we were just talking about the QP protests, and I came across this video. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it. It's from Justin Trudeau, and I'm sorry, I don't like showing his face on my channel here, but just for some context before I get going here. Share my screen. Boom, boom, boom. I think that's the one. Yep. Okay. Again, apologies that you have to hear him and see him.
Would you consider referring the use of the notwithstanding clause to the Supreme Court to get a better clarity on how it should be used?
As I've said, it is a very, very serious thing to suspend people's fundamental rights and freedoms.
Oh, man.
Proactive use of the notwithstanding clause is actually an attack on people's fundamental rights. And in this case, is an attack on one of the most basic rights available, that of collective bargaining. That's why I spoke to union leaders this morning. That's why when I spoke with Premier Ford on Wednesday, I asked him not to invoke the notwithstanding clause preemptively because suspending people's basic rights should never be something people enter into lightly.
So pay attention to his language here. Let's rewind that.
People enter into lightly. Rights should never be something people enter into lightly.
So he's recognizing that he did that. That's why he didn't say should never do it, period. Should never take it lightly. That's what he's saying.
People enter into lightly or without seriously weighing the consequences.
I don't think he did that when he made his decision. But I just want to share that because we were talking about that and I thought it was relevant. But kind of what I was thinking as Thomas was talking there in regards to the commission and what they're trying to peg on these organizers. And I'm just kind of thinking out that loud now because I just kind of thought about it, like I said, as we were talking there. So they're saying the organizers, they basically have them admitting under oath, swearing on a Bible, saying that they had no control over what other organizer or other protesters were doing. I think Tamara Litch was like, yeah, obviously I don't have control of people. So they were making the case because you don't have control. And we have instances, of course, of things potentially getting violent that we needed some sort of assurance that the public was going to be safe. Therefore, the Emergency Act is justifiable. But if they're saying that, if they're saying and receiving the fact that these organizers can't control these protesters, why did they end up in jail? Why was Tamara Leach, Patrick King, Dan Barber, all these organizers, why were they thrown in jail? Are they going to backtrack and try to make that right? I don't think so. But that's just something I thought of. I was just like, if that's the narrative they're going to try to push, are they going to be consistent with it on the flip side of that? But yeah, anyways. All right, what are you guys saying here? Limby says, heck no, after the crimes leveled against us, amnesty is off the table for them. Yeah, I mean, It's 100% true. 100% true. You don't punch someone in the mouth and be like, "Oh, okay, guys, I think we should forgive each other." Like, no, own up to your mistakes. Be willing to, say that I messed up. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are saying we made a mistake and I'm sorry. Like, take what's her name from Alberta Premier. Her name's escaping me. Someone Smith, Danielle Smith. I think she's saying the right stuff. Why can't we take a page out of her book? But for me, like I was saying to Thomas there, me and Brooke went downtown here in Sarnia, where there was a massive protest. I mean, in comparison to our freedom protest in the winter, it was very large. I mean, I guess early on in the winter time, like while the truckers were in Ottawa, I think the most we had was like 400 people, which was good. And then we were just crowded onto the City Hall property there. There's flags everywhere. It was awesome. But I was there myself until like beginning of June, where the numbers dwindled so low that it was just me standing there. So in terms of enthusiasm, I guess, I'm seeing a lot more numbers with this Coopy protest. And I think it's a legitimate thing when people say, where were you? The only thing for me is engaging in that type of talk. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying this is what I'm choosing to do. I'm not going to be one of the ones that say, where were you? Instead, I'm going to show up like I did this morning. I had my camera. Brooke was all mic'd up asking them, what are your concerns? And then he just reiterated, yeah, we're guys that stand for the Charter of Rights. The government shouldn't be trampling on what you're trying to do here. So I think doing that, and of course, me and Brooke we're trying to be figures in the city because we care about this city. We actually just ran for city council. I say we because I was his campaign manager. We didn't win, but we got we were one of the top contenders. We actually did very, very well considering Brooke was gone for 19 years. He was gone in Asia for 19 years, and we still managed to get in the we beat people who have been here their whole lives and have run in politics before. So we made a dent. I think the biggest issue for us was we just weren't known, and we just need more time to get known. So that's part of why we're out there, just to let people know that we exist and that we're standing with them. But that's going to be my mission, is to try to stay away from the heated talk, because I just find, just through experience and on social media, the fiery tongue doesn't really get us anywhere. And it doesn't mean that we're wrong. That's not what I'm saying. You're likely right with the things you're saying. But I believe there's actually a verse in Timothy that says, speak the truth in love. I could be wrong about that reference, but that's what it says. Speak the truth, but speak the truth in love, because that's how it's received. All right. Mark Lafour says the commission is just window dressing. I can agree with that. Brandon, did you hear about our government working on approved MAID for children as young as 12 and without patently approval? No, I didn't hear that. So much going on these days, guys. It's hard to keep up for me, I'll be honest with you, especially with what's going on, the things I'm trying to stay on top of. But yeah, lots of things to be concerned over, lots of reason to be engaged, right? So that's awesome that we have people like Lynn, I Am Someone, all you guys in the comments. It's great to have you guys out there doing this work up here, getting the information. I Am Someone says he makes me sick. Can't listen to his BS. Yeah, that's why I apologize every time I play his videos. Limby says I can't stand seeing or hear him. Again, sorry guys. I just thought it was relevant because I wanted to point out how he kind of left the door open for himself. He was just like, never, under no circumstance. Basically, he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. You should never do this often. That's basically what he's saying. Or I forget how he even said it now. Let's refer back to it. Without seriously weighing the consequences. That's what he said. But again, he didn't even do that. He didn't weigh any consequences. Mark LaForest, hearing PM Trudeau ruin my lunch hour one more time. I'm sorry. And I mean, another and I know we've said, a lot of us have said this from the very beginning. If the truckers just got what they wanted in the beginning, was as simple as a conversation, which is what a prime minister that represents every Canadian should do. I'm not saying he has to, but if he wants to show all Canadians that he cares, he would have went out. And even before the truckers got there, it was in the news that they were coming. Why couldn't he have gone out and be like, all right, guys, I'm hearing what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. Don't bother coming because this is me talking to you guys. I don't know. I don't know if things would have been different, but he didn't even try. He ran away at the first honk. Sorry about that, Mark. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Made for Kids. And you pasted a link there. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Yeah, well, yeah, just let me look at my notes here and what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, we covered, well, I guess I started talking about Steve Bell, and I think he was just the beginning of trying to make this a circus. He was trying to move the argument away from this being a cut and dry, inappropriate decision to a more logistical nightmare of, he was trying to make, spin the webs and make it more complicated than it is. Bridget, I listened to Bridget for a little bit. I and I do my work at the same time, so I didn't really catch a lot of what she said. I listened to Keith Wilson. He had a lot of good stuff to say. He always does. He's a good-hearted guy, I feel, and that's something that Tamara reiterated about Keith Wilson. And then there was BJ Dichter. That was one that I was confused because I have like a group chat on Facebook that I kind of talk to because we all watch it. I think there's 30 of us in the group, and all of us watch the commission, and we're all like commenting in our chat box, our comments on it. And it was like we were going from, oh, we hate this guy to, oh, yeah, he's right. Oh, we hate this guy. Oh, he's right. And it's because BJ Dichter was throwing Tom Marazzo under the bus, Keith Wilson, and obviously Pat King. And it had to do with, at a certain point, because he was like their spokesperson at a certain point in time. And then it came a time where this organization that Keith Wilson brought in that he didn't agree with. He didn't agree with a lot of the things they were saying and doing. So it kind of started division within the organizers. And so I don't know anyone else other than BJ who was not getting along. What I kind of grasped from him was that he had his own way of communicating the message. And when he started seeing like Tom Marazzo doing press conferences and other people, it was like he felt like his toe. He kept saying that his toes being stepped on. He wasn't accusing anybody of that, but he kept saying that, like that phrase when he was referring to the organization of how they conveyed their messaging. So I think that's what his big beef was. I think he felt like people were stealing the mic from him, which I'm not a fan of because I don't know if it's just the populace in me or just I'm the team effort type of guy. I wouldn't have taken my role as spokesperson so seriously, I guess. I think it's important to convey your message clearly, but I also think it's very, very important to be in constant communication with any type of board, any type of organization that has multiple people at the helm. So I don't know, maybe I'm just different. And I'd imagine maybe some of the organizers saw BJ after he broke his leg. I mean, he broke his leg. And so I guess I would see that person as kind of, I don't want to say useless, but more leaning that way because you can't get out. You can't talk to people. You can't show up to things as fast. And maybe they just felt like he needed to be replaced without actually kicking him out. So that's kind of my feel I got from BJ Dichter, that it was a little bit of pettiness. I could be wrong, but that's just what I got from it. And obviously Pat King, I think this was the opposite side star witness. Like they were just waiting for him to be torn apart. And they certainly did. They went after all the things he said in the past, and they played videos that Pat claims were taken out of context and just to paint him as this. Well, the reality of the thing is, and we've all known this from, since March when this was all going on, that he is guilty of saying a lot of stupid things on camera with a big audience. And that's why I'm so careful with what I say. And I've been saying that since the trucker convoy. Let's keep a clean image. Let's keep our tongues clean so that can be used against us. And I mean, they've picked up things he said in the past, like even before the trucker convoy. So that's even harder. But for me, I guess that's just another reminder just to always be self-editing as you go. And I learned this just from being on YouTube, because YouTube has these rules in play where if you don't play by the rules, you're gone. And I'm on 2 strikes right now. I have 1 more strike and I'm done. But if anything, it's taught me to be careful with what I say. I don't get so fiery. Try to communicate things in a peaceful and intelligent fashion, I guess. What else are you guys saying here? Will he be evoking the EMA again to deal with the rogue educational employees? Probably not. Probably not. And that's what Trudeau's saying in that video. He's telling Doug Ford, don't do it. Don't do it, because you need to seriously weigh the consequences, just like I so righteously did myself. So no, I don't think they will. Rumor has it based on, I don't remember what the conversation was about, but it sounds like Doug Ford is willing to come to the table with them. That's what I heard this morning from the protesters. I was so focused on my camera, and we had a bunch of audio and technical difficulties because there was horns, guys. There was a guy with it was like a button that he hit with his foot. And it just blasted this horn that was so loud, and I think it spiked it ruined my audio, and I lost like over half of what we recorded. So I got to still figure out what I'm going to do about that. But that's based on what I heard from the protesters, it sounds like Doug Ford's making a deal. I just don't know what that is. I'll have to learn more. Mark LaForce says, hearing PM Trudeau ruin. Okay, I already read that one. We already read that. If the truckers had been chanting Black Lives Matter, Turd would have listened, talk, and even kneel or take a knee to them. Yeah, I don't doubt that one bit. I think he would have been out there for the photo ops and to hear their grievances 100%, 100%. And it seems to be just, unless it's a cause that he agrees with, he's going to shut it down. Mark LaForest, I will survive. LOL. That's a good song. Me too, Mark, but I did lose my breakfast listening to Trudeau's lies. LOL. Not a fan of Dictor. Yeah, that one was like, that was an emotional roller coaster for me, because it was just like, he's saying the right stuff there, but then it's like, what are you saying? Like off and on through the whole thing. Yeah, that's what I got from him. Who else was there? I didn't catch Tom Marazzo's. Unfortunately, I was working. Chris Deering I watched, and the woman that was with him, her name always escapes me. But yeah, they both did really, really well. I think that their line of questioning was pretty unfair, especially like their question. I forget who it was. I think it was the Ottawa police representative. He just had like irrelevant things that he brought up. But then when the lawyer that came up, that I don't even know her name, but she seemed to be leaning towards the trucker side by playing some videos of Chris being beaten and the young woman having a gun held to her head. They kept cutting her off and saying, like, don't show these videos. It's irrelevant. To me, I'm thinking, how is that irrelevant? Like, this is why they're here, to show you kind of the crap that hit the fan. Nope, Dictor is a plant. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Dictor is very questionable. Or the majority saw through him. Kevin Mitchell says, we all know a Pat King. It's true. It's true. We all got someone like him in our lives. Mark LaForest, communication is the key of victory. That's right. And I think my critique of, I mean, if we were going to do a protest again in similar fashion, I'm not saying we are, I'm just saying if we were to do it again, we need to communicate and we need to be on the same page. And if there's grievances like BJ seemed to have, get them out in the open, bring them to the rest of, they had a board, like bring it to the rest of the board and solve it, like get to the bottom of it before things progress. Because if you're a divided committee and you're going forward, I mean, that's what's kind of also evident. There's a lot of people trying to cover their butt. That's what I feel, right? Where you can kind of just sense that's their mission rather than trying to either defend the truckers or be against them. They're just trying to, defend their own butt. Do any of us know anyone who has never spoken out of turn or said something wrong? Yeah, we all have. It's just, when you say it publicly, right? That's the consequence. But yeah. Ryan Thompson, hey, you're back. Dang, I never get notifications from your channel. I do have notifications activated too. Oh, yeah, just make sure to ring that notification bell. Sometimes YouTube's a little funky that way. Her name is Hope. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I couldn't remember her name. Maggie Hope Braun. Yeah, that's the name I was trying to remember. Maggie, because I remember them saying that, Maggie. Awesome. Jeremy McKenzie did very well. I caught a little bit of Jeremy McKenzie. I've just found it hard to listen to because I always try to do my work as I'm listening, but it was like, it's because he was in jail, assumed, like an echoey room. So it was hard to listen to with all the reverb. Tom, I'm getting some spam in the comments. I'm just trying to sort through them. Jeremy was great, very lucid and intelligent. Good to hear. The FBI was used. I watch another channel called Redacted. I watch Redacted too. They're great. And they found evidence that the FBI were involved in the Canadian convoy. That's interesting. I never heard that before. Tom's testimony caused the entire room to burst into hysterics over talk of Diagolon. That's funny. Yeah, there was a few outbursts. The one was that the lawyer that represented the citizens of Ottawa, he was like a child, man. The way he acted, he like stormed out one of the days. I can't remember what that was about, but he's like shouting and the commissioner had to like silence things. Wow. And he wanted to bring up, it was that James Bowder, I believe. He wanted to cross-examine him about his racist, misogynist, and homophobic behavior on social media. I get accused of that online. So it's just like, oh, he must be one of us, the people that just stand for something and people interpret that to mean that you hate people. So I thought that was interesting. But it just showed that lawyer for who he was and what his agenda was. He wasn't trying to hide it. So anyways, what else we got here? Kevin Mitchell. It seems the government is trying to make this an audit of trucker money instead of the EA. Yep, that's fair. By the way, I haven't turned on the hearing today. I looked at the list of names that are supposed to testify, and I don't recognize any of the names. So, yeah, that'll be fascinating. I think. Let me see here. You guys can't see this. Oh, okay. It looks like they're on break. It says Drew Dilkins testified. Jason Crawley supposed to. Dana Early. Yeah, I don't know any of these names. So I'll be watching that. I hope you guys will be too. Government allowed the FBI. I don't know how that works. I didn't know FBI has jurisdiction here. Do they? I don't know. I'm not a law guy. Yes, I am someone FBI was used and the U.S. government helped with funding the suppression of the protest. Yeah, that'll be interesting to get to the bottom of for sure. On top of all that, apparently Freeland went to the U.S. last week too. Yep, $500 billion. I heard that load to save our economy rather than owning up to their overspending. Yeah, stop printing money. Stop printing money, guys. I saw a meme the other day. It was some guy raising his hand during like a council meeting. He's like, "Oh, if you guys can just print money, why do we pay taxes?" Like, that's a good point. This morning was Windsor Mayor. Okay. Mayor of Windsor on that. Is that Drew Dilkins? Let's Google that. Mayor of Windsor, Ontario. Yep, Drew Dilkins. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know anything about him, so I don't know what his biases are or who he stands with. Because I've been saying this all along that what happened at the borders had nothing to do with Ottawa. It was a separate team like a bunch of organizers that organized something separate. And like, because there's layers to this. There's layers to this argument. And I actually outlined all this in a video that I made. It's a pretty long video. I think it's like 12 minutes long, and I go through piece by piece. It's on my channel. You can go check that out. I think it's called A Message to the Citizens of Ottawa. But one of the things I said was that there was never an instance where truckers blockaded borders. And that's so important because people keep saying that. And I know, for instance, in my hometown, Sarnia, it happened here with tractors. Tractors pulled up, left a lane of traffic open for emergency vehicles. So it's open. There's a flow of traffic. You can get by them. But the OPP shut down the bridge. We have the Blue Water bridges that separate Sarnia and Port Huron. They shut down the entire border when our farmers left lanes open. So that's an important thing to always keep at the forefront of these narratives that they're always trying to spin. And that's what I've always been saying. That was the same case at the Windsor Bridge. There was emergency lanes open until they closed it. So you can imagine being on that bridge. I think it's I haven't looked at this in a while. I can't remember how many lanes are on the bridge crossing. I think it's, no, I'm not even going to guess because I can't remember. But once they close the border, then trucks can move over to lanes because they're not being used. And I think that's what happened. And that's where you got the aerial footage of the helicopter going around. Oh, look at they're occupying the bridge. Well, yeah, because they closed it down and the emergency lanes weren't being used anymore. So I think that's what we saw a lot of. And besides, there was Windsor. If you're not familiar with Windsor, I can't speak. Windsor, there's a tunnel for traffic to go underneath. It's used all the time, but it was closed. No one was blockading the tunnel. Why weren't they using the tunnel? And why weren't they rerouting traffic? There's 118 borders in Canada that separates Canada from the US. You're telling me that 4 ruined our economy, that bankrupt? That's the arguments they were making. There was big manufacturing companies that were saying we were losing so much money because we couldn't get our export on time. But did they make an effort to try to use other means? Because it was only 4 borders that were closed out of 118. So anyways, yeah. Okay, so Lynn says, Drew Dilkins is a jerk. Ah, man. Why is it always jerks in charge? FBI involvement and U.S. funding of protest suppression. This morning, Dilkins said they shut down auto parts production because they couldn't get the parts out for delivery. If this was an issue, the trucks could go to Sarnia to cross, not buying optics. Exactly. Or then, even if they couldn't get to Sarnia, go to the next one or the tunnel. Well, that's what I want to ask. Why didn't they use the tunnel, guys and girls? Yeah, Dilkins says that the tunnel is not high enough to allow commercial trucks. Okay, that's fair. But still, in regards to allowing other traffic through, they didn't even try. They left that closed. And like I said about there being 118 different crossings, like why was shutting 4 so catastrophic? Like what would happen if there was like maintenance going on, like sudden maintenance going on at both or all 4 of those bridges where we had to, just out of spontaneous maintenance? Like, would we shut down our economy? No, we would go to another way of crossing. So, okay, thank you guys. Illegal for commercial vehicles in tunnel. Gotcha. Yeah, well, a big part of their argument, and I heard, I don't remember what news channel it was. I think it was just like a local Windsor or maybe even Detroit station saying because the border's blocked, now their tourism is stunted. Like people that used to come over across the bridge to use the stores and stuff, it's done, or it's come to a stop. But really, you can go through the tunnel. Don't close the tunnel. Let the cars go through. But yeah, just stuff like that, little stuff like that. I think there was more of an effort to vilify these truckers than there was to actual solutions. So that's what I think, and I'm sticking to it. Exactly, but still, there are other options very close by. Yeah, well, even Sarnia. I mean, they had emergency lanes open. People could get through. And their own stinking bridge had emergency lanes open. Yeah, it's just it's funny that blockading and bankrupting the entire nation was not an issue until their income was affected. Yeah. Well, they just needed something to cry about, and they found it. Right on. Awesome. Well, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for tuning in today. That was awesome having Thomas on. He's good at breaking down kind of the broader scope, kind of looking from a 10,000 foot view. So that's always awesome. This morning, like I said, Brooke and I were out there interviewing protesters. We were doing our best to remain neutral on the issue and just kind of presenting information, but we had tech issues that I still got to sort out. So I'll be doing that this afternoon. But yeah, again, thanks guys for tuning in. I'm going to jump out for now, but be sure to tune in every Monday. I'm going to do my best to make this commitment of Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have fun while navigating these sometimes frustrating political topics. All right. Take care for now. Thank you guys in the chat. Thanks for everything that you give to this channel, whether it's your 2 cents or your financial contributions. That always helps. We always put it towards stuff that help the channel. Like Lynn, actually, she's a regular donor, and she's given us enough to buy like lapel mics so we can go out and interview people. And it keeps our StreamYard service going here in high definition. That's something that it goes towards. Yeah, we're not in here to make money. We just use what you give, and we use it wisely to the best of our ability. So thank you. I am someone says, thank you, Brandon. You're welcome. You guys have a great rest of your Monday afternoon. Bye for now.